Democracy on the line. Power pushed to the brink. The Constitution itself under siege. That's where America stands tonight. As Donald Trump's second administration faces a wave of resistance not through impeachment this time, but through the deepest foundations of our democracy, the Constitution's Article 2. Democrats have shifted tactics, and for good reason. After 2 failed impeachments, 2 acquittals, and countless scandals that slipped through partisan cracks, they're now going after the source of Trump's power, his misuse of presidential authority. They've abandoned the spectacle of impeachment hearings and turned to something far more surgical: the courts. The battlefield is no longer the Senate floor. It's the courtroom, the legal filings, the constitutional boundaries that define what a president can and cannot do. But here's where it gets intense. More than 200 executive orders in under 2 years, immigration sweeps, DEI rollbacks, women's sports bans, federal power grabs cloaked in populist slogans, and now with the National Guard in Portland. Trump calls it law and order. Democrats call it authoritarianism. The courts are calling it what it really is: an overreach. Judge after judge has begun pushing back, citing that Trump's actions likely exceed his authority under Article 2. Those words matter, because Article 2 isn't a political talking point. It's the rulebook of American power. It defines where a president's authority starts and where it must end. Trump's team argues that everything he does is legal because he's the commander-in-chief. But that's not how democracy works. Not here, not now, not ever. So what exactly happened in Portland? Trump's latest move to send in the National Guard wasn't just a show of force. It was a constitutional test. He ordered troops into Oregon to crack down on what he called radical left terrorism. But Oregon's governor, and the courts, saw something else entirely. A president hijacking state power to wage war on political dissent. A federal judge halted Trump's order, ruling that it likely violated both the Constitution and the law. That should have been the end of it. But in true Trump fashion, his team appealed, pushing the limits again, daring the judiciary to stop him. This isn't about Portland. It's about precedent. About a president who believes that checks and balances are optional. About a man who treats constitutional limits as inconveniences, not obligations. Because let's be clear, this is the same Donald Trump who was impeached for abusing power in Ukraine. The same Trump who refused to act during the Capitol attack. The same Trump who has spent his entire political career testing how far he can go before someone says enough. But Democrats are saying it now. Enough. This time, they're not relying on speeches or investigations. They're using the system Trump swore to protect. Article 2 has become the new weapon against autocracy, the constitutional firewall against a second Trump term that's already showing signs of something darker than before. Because impeachment failed to stop him last time. Maybe the law will, and the White House? They're spinning it the same way they always do. Trump's spokesperson calls it Trump derangement syndrome, claims the lawsuits are baseless, says the courts are full of activist judges. Sound familiar? It's the same gaslighting, the same grievance, the same playbook. Only this time the stakes are higher because Trump's not fighting for re-election anymore. He's already in power. This is what happens when democracy lets its guard down. When one branch of government stops checking the other. Trump's allies want you to believe these legal battles are partisan. They're not. They're patriotic. Because holding power accountable, no matter who holds it, is the core of American democracy. Look closer, and you'll see the pattern. From ordering the National Guard without state consent, to rewriting civil rights rules by executive order, to stripping diversity programs across federal agencies, every move chips away at the balance of power. Every order tests whether we'll notice and or care. They're counting on exhaustion, on apathy, on us tuning out. But we can't. Because history has already shown us where unchecked power leads. We've seen the crowds, the chaos, the insurrection, the flags waving for one man, not one nation, and now that man is back, signing orders faster than Congress can read them, claiming the people gave me this authority. But the Constitution didn't. The courts won't. And democracy can't survive if we let him rewrite the rules by decree. So when you hear Trump talk about taking back control, remember, and that control comes at the expense of your rights, your state's authority, your freedom from a federal government run like a one-man show. And when you see Democrats filing lawsuits, understand, that's not obstruction. That's preservation. It's the last line between a constitutional republic and a presidential dictatorship. The truth is simple. This fight isn't about Democrats versus Republicans anymore. It's about democracy versus power, law versus chaos, America versus authoritarianism. And the courts, those often overlooked, overworked institutions, have become the frontline defense because impeachment failed to stop him. Indictments couldn't slow him down. But maybe, just maybe, the Constitution will. So let's be clear. The question now isn't whether Trump will overstep again. He already has. The question is whether the system will hold, whether the people will hold, whether we will, because democracy doesn't defend itself. People do. They lied. They twisted the law. They called it patriotism. But we see it for what it is. Power, stolen piece by piece, hidden behind flags and slogans. And that's why we fight back. Not out of partisanship, out of principle. Because the Constitution isn't a suggestion, it's a promise. And we intend to keep it. Stay informed. Stay vigilant. Because this battle, the one over Article 2, over the limits of power, over the soul of democracy, isn't ending in a courtroom. It's being fought right now, in every headline, every protest, every vote. And as long as the truth still matters, we'll be here to calling it out, loud, clear, and unapologetic. We won't back down. Not now, not ever.